It is official. The first tropical or I should say storm, not cyclone, of the hurricane season has officially formed. Yes, the first tropical storm of hurricane season has officially formed. You can see it right here on the screen right now. See it here on the screen right now. And honestly, it looks like that this storm right here could potentially impact a good amount of the southeast. Obviously, we know that it's occurring in Texas, Louisiana, getting in on some of that rainfall, some flooding, some gusty winds. I mean, I saw some wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour in parts of Texas already. So, this could definitely impact South Carolina pretty big. And so, all of that we're going to go on and talk about. Tropics will be first once again this video. After that, though, we're going to talk about our mostly dry with only isolated and lingering showers possible as we go into tonight. Active weather arrives with scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms Thursday and Friday from Arthur. Also, dry conditions return as we go into the weekend, and we get that return to typical summertime pattern activity as we go into next week. So, all of that we're going to go and talk about. If you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, go on and do so. It's free, it's free, it's free. Starting off with the tropics, what's currently going on with Arthur? Well, Arthur right now is off the coast of Texas and Louisiana, bringing in heavy rainfall to portions of Louisiana and also portions of Mississippi as well. You can see it down here, pretty obviously of what's going on right now. You see rainfall in portions of Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, like I was just talking about. Now, what's going on in terms of like the current status? Well, this is what it currently looks like. That's its loop currently going on over and over and over again as it moves its way more towards the north and east at around 9 miles per hour. Now at around 8 miles per hour. And you can see that as you move more and more into tonight, 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, we're looking for this thing to downgrade down into a tropical depression and kind of just cease to exist at that point. It's right now maximum sustained winds of up to around 40 miles per hour is what we're seeing. So very weak. We're not seeing anything right now too strong in terms of hurricane or tropical storm standards. This is pretty much the least of the least right now in terms of tropical storms. And again, gonna by around like 1 a.m. it's gonna go and downtrend down into a tropical depression. Now, ensembles obviously are going to say some different stuff. For example, the hurricane models, most of them kind of have this thing stopping after around a good 24, 48 hours or so. But you have a couple of stragglers that try to continue this thing all the way into North Carolina, to South Carolina, to Georgia, over into Virginia, and then kind of continue its way off into the Atlantic. Now, rather that be as a tropical storm, rather as it, just being as just a regular low pressure, having those tropical characteristics with it. Whatever that may be, all of that's up in the air. So I think we're really just gonna have to pay attention to the system and watch as it continues to move its way over to the east. Because, like I said, and I've said this multiple times to multiple people, even if this does have the tropical characteristics, but not necessarily a storm, it could cause some impacts. What are those impacts? We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's go and look at the GEFS. The GEFS is one of the models that are more on the shorter end, thinking that this thing won't do anything as you get all the way into Mississippi. It's going to fizzle out and go away, cause some rainfall, but that's about it. Take a look at the European. The European obviously being the one that's the more active one, and guess what? The European is still on track. The European is still on track as of the 18Z. And you can see as you move into Louisiana, moving into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and as you move into South Carolina, you can see that the pressure is dropping over land. That means that it is strengthening over land. You usually don't see that often, but it is trying to. According to the European, again, that's over the next 48 hours. So this storm is a bit closer than we think. I mean, if you think that we have until like next week or something like that, no, I mean, you really have till like Thursday, Friday, which is tomorrow night and like Friday going to the morning afternoon hours. So you don't have that much longer left until this storm starts to bring in impacts towards us. Now, the European again being the more higher end one, showing pretty much pretty strong conditions and some rainfall, obviously up to around an inch or two. I think that's what most are saying. But the main thing I do want to look at is the model intensity guidance. And what do most models say? Most models, at least hurricane models, thinks that we are going to be below tropical storm status. It thinks that it's going to go away. They think that we're not even going to see a tropical storm as we make it all the way into South Carolina. But you see a couple of them trying to have a little bit of a resurgence, like the CEMI and the AVNI. So a couple of them are trying to resurge a little bit, get a bit stronger. But again, most of them still have us in that tropical depression, if not lower than that. Now, these are the key messages for Arthur. It says potentially life-threatening flash flooding and urban flooding are likely through Friday across southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, southwestern Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. Scattered minor river flooding is expected with the potential for isolated, moderate to even major river flooding. Ongoing heavy rainfall could also prolong the flood threat throughout the weekend. Tropical storm force winds, especially in gusts, are expected along the upper Texas and the Louisiana coast during the next few hours, where tropical storm warnings are in effect. And minor to moderate coastal flooding is expected along portions of the upper Texas and Louisiana coastlines today. So you can see at this map right down here, let me see, rainfall potential. Look, you can see this is the amount of rainfall we could potentially receive. You see in areas in Alabama and Florida around 6 to 8 inches. You see in the yellow, that's around 4 to 6. The dark green, that's 2 to 4. And the light green, which includes a good amount of South Carolina, around 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. So that's what the officials are predicting. They're saying around 1 to 2 inches of rainfall almost statewide for the state of South Carolina, which, great. I mean, this would help out with the drought huge. I mean, this would help huge. So this is honestly a very good situation and a very good case scenario at this point, because we don't want to see too much of the storm. We don't really want to see, gusty winds knocking down trees, power lines, stuff like that. We don't want to see that, but we'll take some beneficial rainfall, and it looks like that could potentially happen. That is a good scenario there. But gusty winds could still be a concern. And I think that some models are hinting that we could see it. Now, one thing that does come with the rainfall that is bad is the risk of flash flooding. Tonight, going into tomorrow, we're not seeing anything there. Tomorrow, going into Friday morning, that is probably our biggest risk for some flash flooding. You can see the yellow pushing into the state. Everybody has a risk of flash flooding as you go into day 2, which again is tomorrow going into Friday morning. The slight risk over there in parts of the Midlands and parts of the upstate, everybody else in the green. And then on Friday going into Saturday morning, everybody's inside of that isolated flash flood risk inside the green there. So at least a 5% risk of flash flooding. We'll talk about that more once we get towards the excessive rainfall part once again. But for right now, we're looking at flash flooding being a potential here. And also another thing, I talked about it yesterday. How the risk of severe weather. Look at tomorrow. This is tomorrow for Thursday, June the 18th. There is a risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Not for tornadoes, really, even though, I mean, it could expand. But wind is the main concern. Wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, with some of those cells from the tropical system are going to try and move their way through into the state. They're going to try and move their way into the state as you go into tomorrow. So watch out for, obviously, those gusty winds and those isolated damaging winds, which is another big problem here that we may have with some of these storms that pass by. And if I'm not mistaken, rip currents, for the most part, there is a little risk. That's for today. Tomorrow, there's a little risk up here in North Myrtle Beach for a moderate risk of rip currents tomorrow. Everybody else looks good. Nothing there. And then in terms of peak storm surge, we're not looking for storm surge over here in South Carolina. 1 to 3 feet of storm surge from the coastal areas of Louisiana all the way down to Texas, but again, not for South Carolina. And that's pretty much what I have to say there in terms of the official forecast. Now, what about the models? Let's go ahead and take a look at the HRRR first. And we're going to skip past, tonight. we're going to really just try and focus into tomorrow. So we go into tomorrow afternoon. Here's tomorrow at around 3 p.m. or so, and there goes the huge system that is Arthur. Maybe future not Arthur anymore. But as you go all the way to around 3 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, moving all the way into 6 o'clock p.m., going into tomorrow evening, look at those showers and storms start to move through. Those showers and storms that move in going to the evening time, these are going to cause that potential for some of those damaging winds to be up to 60 miles per hour. And look at that strong line as well. Strong line of storms going in from that tropical system as well, from Mississippi all the way up into Georgia. Now that goes all the way into Thursday, 9 p.m. or so, and as you move even into the early morning hours of Friday, going into like later on Friday, things calm down a good bit, but you still see storms popping in going into Friday afternoon. But does it really have to do with the tropical system? Possibly. I mean, it looks like it could, but it's like behind the line more than anything. So what about the GFS? GFS, as we go on and push this forward, remember the GFS was the one that was not so confident about the storm really doing anything in terms of, strength, tropical strength, but it does bring in a good amount of rainfall. I will say that. Brings in a great amount of rainfall, beneficial rainfall as we move into Thursday, going into Friday, and it kind of just skedaddles out of here really quickly, and we have a dry weekend ahead for the most part. There could be some showers and stuff here and there as we go into Saturday and Sunday, but for the most part, most of us are dry. And then for the European model, European obviously being the more happier one, being kind of the more stronger one out of the two, showing us a good amount of rainfall trying to pop up as you go into Thursday. Going into Friday, look at this. We have a good amount of rainfall moving in and, a low pressure of around a 1,002. Not bad in terms of strength. Really not bad in terms of strength. That would cause some gusty winds. That would cause some, obviously, heavy rainfall with those gusty winds, obviously causing some storm-like conditions. But obviously, probably not the strongest of tropical storms. Obviously, 1,002 is not that strong on the tropical scale, but according to the European, it's still possible. The European, it is still possible. Now, one thing that I do want to go in and take a look at real quick is also the totals real quick from the GEFS. The GEFS kind of has us around maybe half an inch to around an inch and a half or so. So not really the more helpful one. I mean, it has, like I said, a half an inch, is, good rainfall. But in this area right here, especially the Grand Strand area, we need to see more rainfall than a half an inch. I mean, that's where that D3 drought is. The worst of the droughts is up there. So we definitely need to see a good amount of rainfall up here or down there. And then as you move into the actual European, the European has a more higher output, still, maybe around just less than an inch. But I mean, to be honest, this kind of aligns with what the actual National Hurricane Center or the Weather Prediction Center was saying. In fact, that most of the state would get around 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, and a couple areas may miss out on an inch or so. And it seems like that's what the European kind of paints here. That's what it kind of paints right now. You see around 2 inches up there in the upstate, around an inch, inch and a half in the Midlands. See around maybe close to an inch in the Low Country into the Grand Strand areas. Kind of aligns with the map that they have. So now, that's pretty much all I wanted to say there in terms of the rainfall totals. One more thing before we go on and move off the tropics real quick, and that is I want to look at the wind gusts real quick from the HRRR real quick. And so we're going to go to the models. I've actually never, this is not the live radar, by the way. Let me take that off. These are actually models right here. We're going to look at the wind gust. We're going to go back to the 18Z real quick. And you can see on the map easily what's going on here. And so this goes into tonight. This goes into tomorrow morning, obviously. And you can see those wind gusts getting up to around 30 or so going into Thursday, 7 a.m. We get all the way to around 1 o'clock p.m. But watch as you move into, this is 16, so this is 4 p.m. right here. And you can see wind gusts moving all the way through. Atlanta, they're getting around close to 40. You see pockets of 60 miles per hour moving through with some of these storms that move in. As you go all the way into Thursday night, though, here we go at 1800. That being 6, we have, pockets up to 50, 60 miles per hour, some of those storms that try to move through, which kind of shows my reasoning for that, for why, even if this does not produce a full-on swath of 30, 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, there's going to be a good amount of pockets that kind of try and move through and kind of try to produce gusts of up to 60 or so. So that's something we really do have to look for and watch for as we move into Thursday afternoon, going into Thursday night, is those wind gusts getting up to around 50, 60 miles per hour in some spots. Now, what do they come from? You want to look at the precipitation type? They come from the storms associated with it. But even if you don't count the storms associated with it, I mean, like over here in Myrtle Beach, for example, there's no storms over there, yet they're getting wind gusts up to around 33. Yeah, that is near the coastal areas. You look down here inside of the low country, no storms, let's say over here in Dorchester, Colleton County. They're getting wind gusts up to 25, close to 30 miles per hour. So I think that even if you don't really receive too much in terms of storms and 60 mile per hour wind gusts with these storms, you could definitely still see some breezy conditions of up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say there in terms of the wind gusts, just making sure that we know that even though we may not be getting a full-on tropical storm force here, winds could still be pretty bad in some spots, rainfall will still be there, and it will almost seem like a tropical system for those areas that get the worst conditions. But that's all that I pretty much have to say here in terms of the official forecast here for this storm that's moving in, Tropical Storm Arthur, future remnant low, if it stays or not. Models are still all over the place for when it comes to that, so we're just going to watch what happens as we go into tonight. For right now, the National Hurricane Center is saying that it's going to go away, which honestly I'm more leaning towards it as well. The European might just be wrong here in terms of its modeling right now, but we'll continue to keep an eye out on it though. But let's go on right now and check and see what is going on right now in terms of the state, in terms of a live radar perspective, because it's time to just go to the regular forecast now, past all the tropics, past all the models for the tropics and for Tropical Storm Arthur. What's currently going on? Well, right now, absolutely nothing. We're seeing nice, dry conditions right now statewide. But as we go on and scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on in portions of Louisiana and portions of Texas. Florida getting in on some thunderstorm activity. You see some rainfall in Vermont, New York, going down all the way into Ohio, Indiana, bringing in some showers and storm activity. We even have a tornado warning, a PDS tornado warning that is over here in Effingham, Indiana, Toledo, and Greenup. Or no, not Indiana, Illinois, excuse me. Effingham, Toledo, Greenup, inside of Illinois. If you know anybody inside those areas, please make sure that they are in their safe spots, because obviously PDS, that's a particularly dangerous situation there. And so that's a life-threatening situation. You know anybody in that area, let them know for sure. Now, severe weather going on up there. We have obviously some rainfall going on in parts of Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Arizona getting in on some of that severe weather as well. And that's pretty much all nationwide. Now, what's going on in terms of our cloud cover? We do have some cloud cover in the upstate, the Midlands, the PD, obviously the Grand Strand and the Low Country getting in on some of that cloud cover right now, while everybody else tries to stay mostly clear. Now, if we look at our cloud cover for the future, we're going to push this into tonight, going into tomorrow morning. Here's around 10 o'clock in the morning, going all the way to around 12 o'clock p.m. on Thursday. What are we seeing? I mean, you can see some grays going on. That is like some minor cloud cover moving throughout these areas, but it is here. I mean, you definitely can see it. It is here. Even as we move into Thursday afternoon, going to Thursday evening, and then as we go all the way into Friday morning, cloud cover still remains. Now, for our current temperatures right now, we're talking about around 79 in Somerville, 81 in Charleston, as well as Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, 77, Georgetown, 79 in Myrtle Beach, as well as 78 in Florence, 79, Hartsville, as well as 73, or 75, excuse me, inside of York, 76 in Greenville, Spartanburg, and 78 in Clemson. Air quality for tonight, it looks like that we are mostly looking good. We have an area up there inside of the upstate that is inside of the moderate. So if you're up there in Spartanburg and areas near, and you're going to be out for a long period of time tonight, just make sure that you are aware of that air quality. Low temperatures for tonight, you're talking about 72 in Greenville, Spartanburg, as well as 73 in Columbia, 73 in Orangeburg, as well as 72 in Moncks Corner, 77 in Charleston, as well as 74 in Georgetown, 76 inside of Myrtle Beach, and 78 in Hilton Head Island. And as you move into your high temperatures for tomorrow, 87 in Greenville, 88 Spartanburg, and 92 in Columbia, 93 in Orangeburg, Walterboro, 94 in Moncks Corner and Georgetown, 91 in Myrtle Beach. Now, as you go over into your rainfall rates as we move throughout the next 24 hours, we're talking about a good amount of rainfall statewide. I mean, it's looking like the western areas going into maybe a bit more the southern areas are going to receive a good amount of rainfall, while some areas more towards the east and maybe a bit more towards the north may not see as much. So around 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch for areas over there, and some areas aren't even seeing potentially any rainfall as you move throughout the next 24 hours. SPC outlook as you move into tonight, thunderstorm activity, it's still there according to the National Weather Service. Let's see if they put out an update. They reduced it, I think, maybe a little bit, or actually, seemed like they kept it almost the exact same, actually. Never mind. Maybe a little bit of reduction, but it's like not much at all. Honestly, I don't really see too much of the thunderstorm activity, really just because models, obviously there's nothing going on right now, and just models as you move into tonight don't really show too much of a thunderstorm threat or just a rainfall threat in general at all, really, for tonight. Now let's go in and take a look at tomorrow. Tomorrow being a big day, risk of severe weather as we go into tomorrow, marginal risk of severe weather that obviously comes from Arthur moving in closer towards us, and that causing some storms to pop up, some of them having wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. So make sure that you're watching for that tomorrow, especially tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, because we just went over the models for that. You know what I'm talking about. Friday, we have another risk of severe weather, really just down there in the western low country. Everybody else just has a regular risk of thunderstorm activity. Fire weather is not expected. Excessive rainfall looks like that we are in the clear for tonight, but tomorrow, the big day, the big day. Slight risk of excessive rainfall over here for areas like Anderson, Lawrence, for Newberry, Camden, Saluda, Orangeburg, as well as Allendale, and then everybody else is inside of the green. Everybody else in the state of South Carolina is in the green. The 15% area being the yellow, and the 5% area being the green. And then everybody has a 5% risk of flash flooding on Friday going into Saturday. Now, once you get into Saturday, Sunday, things calm down a lot. Now, the crazy score for tonight, we're at a 10. I think we could potentially be a little bit higher. But honestly, I kind of do respect that score, really just because it's not completely cloudy. So I guess that does make more sense also. And just no significant weather. I mean, we're not looking at any rainfall right now, so it's going to be a mostly calm night tonight. So taking a look at the models, we already went over the majority of the end part of the models, but let's go in and talk about the beginning portion. Obviously, as we go into tonight, we're not looking for any sort of thunderstorm activity, any sort of rainfall activity. But watch as you get into tomorrow morning, here around 9 o'clock in the morning, you're starting to see some isolated shower activity in the upstate. You're starting to see some, even as you get to noon, you're seeing some thunderstorm activity up there in the upstate. And then as you move into around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, even around 5 o'clock p.m., you're starting to see a good amount of thunderstorm activity from Arthur continuing to move its way over, bringing those gusts potentially of up to 60 miles per hour throughout the state tomorrow. And then for the future, we talked about it, morning rainfall expected as we go into Friday. And then as we move into Friday afternoon, showers and storms do kind of try and reform back to just their everyday self or still, but there will still be some influence from Arthur here. Now, as we go in and take a look at our future, so we're going to go past Friday, going into Saturday, past Sunday, because we know that this weekend could bring in some isolated rain chances, but it's not really going to be that influential. We go into Monday, going into Tuesday, we're seeing some more rainfall activity, back to seeing those summertime everyday thunderstorms, without a tropical influence with it. As we go into next week, we go into Wednesday, going into Thursday, we see more rainfall activity, more thunderstorm activity through Thursday, going into Friday, and then you get into Saturday and Sunday of next week, not this weekend, but next weekend, we're still seeing just that same active summertime pattern. So I think that next week could be a big week for just a regular summertime pattern here, because I don't really see too much in terms of huge changes. And even if you go into the week after next week, I know it's a bit far out, but I don't see any major systems. Just the major summertime pattern kind of just remains. Now, how much rainfall are we looking at as we move throughout the next 400 hours or so? We're looking at maybe around 2-3 inches or so as we move throughout the next 300 to 400 hours, which makes sense. I mean, and also not really that, really not really that hard to be mad with. As we just continue more into the future, because obviously I know more people want to see maybe some more rainfall than this, but I mean this is beneficial right here. This is beneficial right here. So I'm not really mad at this at all. Not mad with this at all. Now, as we go and take a look at the European obviously being more on a different story, really just because of number one, the tropical system influence, but also just because it goes out 360 hours. So it may add a little bit more. Like I see more of us mainly just averaging close to 3. Like I see a lot of 2.9s, 2.8s. When we went and looked at the GFS though, we had more in like the lower 2s, more mid 2s, and a lot more in the 3s. But this kind of just shows the more median range kind of being more in the upper 2s and the lower 3s, maybe even some mid 3.5 inches or so statewide. So again, this is for the next 360 hours. We go on and take a look at our temperatures now, because temperatures are also pretty important to go in and take a look at. We push this into tonight. I'm going into tomorrow. You can see cooler air trying to move in as we go into Thursday, Friday. Cold front's going to move through. But warmer air will not be taken down that easily as you move into the weekend. It's going to be trying to fight its way back. And it does as we go into like the early parts of the week. But don't worry, cooler air will also be trying to fight its way back as well midweek next week. You go all the way through into Thursday, going all the way into Friday. And then even on Saturday or so, you're starting to see some more cooler air trying to just influence its way like anytime it can. We go into next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, still seeing a whole bunch of warmer air and cooler air kind of fighting over each other. And then as we move into the end parts of June and July, I said this yesterday and I'm gonna say it again, I still do believe that rainfall, temperature activity will start to spike up. We're going to start to see more summer-like, more hotter conditions as we go towards the end parts of June, going into the early parts of July. And then as we go on and take a look at our actual temperatures themselves, we go over into Thursday, going into Friday or so, we see some 90s coming along. We go into Saturday, going over into Sunday, and then even on Monday, we're still seeing a good amount of 90s statewide. So 90s are on the way back, that's for sure. The 90s are 100% on the way back, like in full force. Like, I know we have some 90s for highs tomorrow, but the past couple of days, we've been down to the 80s or so. So 90s are really on their way back. And as you move into the ensembles, as we go throughout the end of June, going into the into the early parts of July, my point still stands. I think that as we get closer towards the end of the month, going into the early parts of July, those temperatures will start to increase more and more, and the averages are going to start to increase more and more. And that's all they have to say in terms of the main portion of the forecast tonight. We have nothing in terms of earthquakes. Obviously, the drought monitor is not tonight. So we're going to go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Again, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Couple of things real quick. Number one, I forgot to mention this earlier, but it is midweek. It is midweek, meaning that we are officially halfway through the work week. Let's go and give ourselves a round of applause for that. So that's something good there that we have to look forward to. Only Thursday and Friday left to go, and we are complete until the weekend. And so we're going to start off first with my Aunt Lulu, who was here first tonight. She says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone enjoyed their day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris also says, good evening to you. Just wanted to tell everyone that I'm going to be off for a while. Wife and I are going to be moving and need to focus on the moving. Well, first off, congratulations to you. And then also, hopefully all does go well with that. And that's obviously fine. You know, obviously that's way, way more important to go on and focus on. Then my Lou says today in Georgetown it was around 84 degrees. Currently it's around 81 degrees with the heat index. It feels like 98. So that was earlier. Well, currently at my house right now, it is around 77. The high temperature for today was 83. And we got around 0.4 inches of rainfall today. It was a pretty good shower that came through at my house earlier. I wasn't here for it, but I know it was because I did see some puddling going on. And it only rained for about like an hour and 16 minutes or so. Mr. Michael came in and says, good evening all. Pray all enjoyed a great day this time of year. Keep prepared as hurricanes can be upon as quickly and horrifically. Absolutely. Thank you so much for reminding us that even though the storm may not be the worst, you should still be prepared for it. Does not matter. And like I said, it may not even be a hurricane. Definitely won't be a hurricane, but it may not even be a tropical storm, but you could still see tropical storm force wind gusts with some of those gusts that come in tomorrow evening. So make sure that you're aware of that. Trail says, greetings to you. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. Mount Lou says, today in Georgetown, we did have some showers. My Nana says, hello, Jane, all, hello to you. And then Miss Tolliver, I haven't seen you in a minute, says, hey, Joseph, hello to you. Extremely muggy at my house with lots of rain and mallards. My grass is lush and green. I hope that you're enjoying your summer. I sure am. Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. That says, good evening, Joseph and the 360 Weather family. I've been listening. I trust all is well with everyone. Apparently, it's raining all around me. Not one drop in my area. It was a rather hot day today, dealing with this heat advisory, but all is well. Family in Houston reporting a lot of rain and flooding. Please pray for them and everyone in the surrounding areas. Absolutely, we will. Then Ms. Tolliver said, if these temperatures are not summertime temps, then I don't know what is. And that's all that I can see here in terms of the chat for right now. So let's go on real quick and see, because usually we go in and talk about San Antonio and those areas first. But first, let me see. Did I get anything in terms of my email for tonight? I did not get any pictures tonight from anybody. Again, if you want to go in and send me a picture, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather360@gmail.com, or 360_weather on Twitter and Instagram now. And then also, top fan question of the night for tonight. We changed up how we did top fans for some people who are, just tuning in tonight. We used to do it obviously by the amount of people who came in and whoever typed the most, but now we changed it up. I have a question that I ask now, and whoever gets the question correct first gets the top fan question of the night for tonight. And so I'm gonna ask a good question for tonight. At least I believe so. What area in the state of South Carolina, and this has to do with when we talked about precipitation amount for the next 24 hours. What area did I say may not get any rainfall? What area was it? You may be asking, what do I mean by area? Because, I have to be pretty specific because of that. I'm talking about areas like You can say regions like the PD, you can say the Grand Strand, you can say the Low Country, the Midlands, the Upstate, or you can say the Northwest, the Southeast, the Eastern part. Well, not Eastern's a bit too broad, but any like areas like that. If you have anywhere close to that area, I guess I'll count it. So, what areas did I say may not see any rainfall throughout the next 24 hours? You can go on and start, and whoever gets it first, top fan of the night for tonight. But before we get back to that, we have 4 areas to talk about: San Antonio, Texas; Raleigh, North Carolina; Philadelphia, Pennsylvania; as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. Starting off with San Antonio first, you have low temperatures tonight at 78, high temperatures for tomorrow at 97, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 80. No precipitation is expected at this time. No precipitation is expected at this time. And then if we go on and take a look at your future, it does look like temperatures will continue to be up into the 90s even as you go into next week. It's also going to be raining for the majority of this week, but then watch as you get into next week because things calm down and they chill out pretty much immediately. It also will be a bit breezy for you as you move throughout the next couple of days or so, with gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, for right now, it looks like that you are good in terms of the severe weather front. Excessive rainfall wise, it looks like that you are good for tonight, tomorrow, but as you go into Friday morning, Saturday morning, going into Sunday morning, so from Friday all the way to Sunday morning, isolated flash flooding is possible for you. So make sure that you are paying attention. Make sure that you have that plan in place if you get that flash flood warning. Let's check out some of the answers. Low Country, no. Upstate, no. And Myrtle Beach, no. None of those answers are correct for right now. So, again, the question was, what area was it? What area was it that I mentioned specifically? Said may not get any sort of rainfall. May not get any sort of rainfall over the next 24 hours. For Raleigh, North Carolina being the next one, you have low temperatures tonight at 74, high temperatures for tomorrow at 100, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. No precipitation is expected for tonight or tomorrow, but then tomorrow night there also is a chance of thunderstorms there for tomorrow night. So make sure that you're paying attention, because not only will there just be a chance of thunder and lightning, but there also will be a chance of severe weather. Isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, the same thing we're seeing in South Carolina. You have that risk as you go into tomorrow evening. So make sure that you're aware. And then in terms of your excessive rainfall you sure do have as you move into Friday. Isolated flash flooding is possible for you. Now, as you go into your future, looks like temperature-wise, you're going to be hot. I mean, even as you end off the week, you're going to be in the 90s. As you go into next week, all the way into Wednesday, you're still looking at 90s. And then precipitation-wise, you're going to be good for tonight, tomorrow. But as you go into Thursday night, going all the way into Friday night, chance of rainfall, thunderstorm activity is there. Take a break for the weekend, but then as you get into Monday, shower and thunderstorm chances return. As we go over into Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at 92, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. No precipitation tonight, but tomorrow, you have a chance of thunderstorm activity and breezy conditions. Wind gusts of up to around 35 miles per hour tomorrow. So that's going to be a bit breezy, if not close to windy in some parts. Severe weather-wise, you do have a risk of severe weather tomorrow, so I guess that's technically why, because as that storm system is moving through, cold front's going to move through, and obviously that's going to produce some winds. And, even if you don't get any severe storms, which you do have a slight risk of severe weather, a 15% risk of damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour, even if you don't get those wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour in the storms, you're still going to be getting wind gusts of up to 35, 40 miles per hour tomorrow, regardless. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, nothing for tonight, tomorrow, and just for the next 5 days, you're good. Then as you move over into your future, temperature-wise, you're going to be up down to around like the 80s or so. Kind of interesting to say down, just how the fact that most of us are in the 90s right now. It's also going to be dry all the way through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday night going into Monday could be some shower and thunderstorm activity, but past that, nice and dry once again. And before we move over into Duncan, let's see, PD and Charleston. One of those answers are correct. One of those answers are correct. Which one is it? Well, let's go and get a drum roll real quick. It was my Aunt Lula. She says PD. That was the area that I was looking for up there in the northern PD. I specifically said earlier that some areas up there, like Chirrah, may not see any sort of rainfall as you move throughout the next 24 hours. So congratulations to you for getting it correct for tonight. Congratulations to you. We'll be going over honorable mention in just a moment. We have around 3 to 3. Do we have? No. We have a couple. I'll check that out in just a moment, whenever we get there. But now as we go into Duncan, Oklahoma, the last area, low temperatures tonight at 76, high temperatures for tomorrow at 94, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow, but tomorrow night showers are expected. Showers are expected. Now, as we go in and take a look at severe weather, you do have a risk of severe weather for tomorrow night, not only for isolated damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour, but also isolated hail of up to an inch in diameter. Now, as we go on and take a look at your excessive rainfall outlook, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall, not for tonight, but tomorrow. Scattered flash flooding, a 15% risk of flash flooding is expected for you tomorrow. And then it's going into Friday, isolated flash flooding, that 5% returns. And then on Sunday, you're still not done, another 5% risk. I think that's mainly for Sunday night, though. Now, as you go on into your future, temperatures continue to kind of just stay up into the 90s. You have like some 80s maybe on Friday. But you stay in the 90s for the majority of the week next week. And then precipitation-wise, you're also going to be up in terms of precipitation through Thursday night, going all the way through Saturday. And then Sunday night going all the way into like Wednesday of next week. So you're going to be active there in terms of rainfall. So what's going on right now throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise? Well, an outbreak of severe thunderstorms is expected across portions of Illinois and Indiana tonight. Intense tornadoes, swaths of damaging wind gusts, and hail in excess of 2 inches in diameter being possible. Tropical Storm Arthur will also continue to produce strong winds across the upper coastal Texas areas and Louisiana tonight, as well as potentially life-threatening flooding across southern Louisiana into Mississippi. And that's all I have to say there. I do want to correct something that I said earlier that I just thought about that a bit ago, or I thought about it after I said it. But also, I said that the European may be wrong. And I just want to correct that and say, technically, I mean, yes. I mean, it could be in a sense, but also in terms of pressure, but in terms of like the track of it, it could definitely, the low pressure could still track over the state. The thing is, the difference is that the GFS are just saying that it's no longer going to be really an organized area low pressure that's really going to have that center area that's really going to cause potentially gusty winds in the core, of up to 30, 40 miles per hour. Well, again, the European has more of that core with it. It's around like 1,000 millibars or so, maybe the upper 900s there. So, in case that did cause some confusion, what I meant there was that the European, in terms of the track, probably is not wrong there. But it's just in terms of the intensity of it, in the organization of that low pressure that I was mainly talking about there. But I just wanted to clear that up real quick first. But that's all that I needed to say there. If you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Also hit the subscribe button. Again, if you know anybody up here in Illinois, Indiana, really southern Illinois and southern Indiana, because that tornado warning that we saw, it actually seemed like it did lift since we started. If earlier at the beginning we were talking about how we had a PDS tornado warning for Effingham, Illinois, going on over into some other areas as well. So I said if you knew anybody over there, let them know. It has since moved on. But if you know anybody, from central Indiana, I think Indianapolis is mainly out of it. They're still in the watch, though. Southern Illinois, southern Indiana, central Indiana, even Missouri as well. St. Louis, going over into Jefferson City, going over down into Bolivar in Lebanon, Missouri. Let them know as well that they also have a risk of severe weather tornadoes to potentially go on, as several strong tornadoes were likely. But go and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. We're at 753, trying to get to that main goal of 800. We are right now only 47 away. We're getting closer and closer and closer. Let's go in and get there. Make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you are new. And I'll be back tomorrow morning early for your Thursday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening for not only your Thursday evening forecast update, but also for the drought monitor update. Really excited to see what that has to say.